Well, let's go to Andy.
Let's go to the phones.
In Nevada. Hi, Andy. What are you doing?
Hey, listening to you two guys, because you're pretty much the smartest guys on the radio.
I agree.
Go ahead, Andy.
I was just saying that. I was just saying that to the boss before the show today. I really was.
I hope he gives you a raise.
Me too.
Okay, so I believe that two things, if I can connect them. And, we talk about free agents, but, that's to fill your team out, put you over the top. The best teams, you get there by making great draft picks and developing guys, and a lot of that's a crapshoot. Like when you guys did the quarterbacks, I remember when Dibs went over the top to 10 years, 25% of the first-round QBs are good. So anyway, but when the Giants are drafting, they're drafting for their ballpark. They stress pitching. So by having this ballpark, we're caught in that syndrome, that routine, pitching, defense. They don't even go after hitters. You don't develop hitters. You can't put your team up, all the way on the track from free agents. It can only be the topping. And then going after Judge, I love that they tried, but that was almost impossible. Being a Yank and the tradition, that was an impossible task. So anyway, now we're drafting, pitching, and we're stuck in that wheel. Like the Yankees, we all think they buy anyone they want. Well, the truth is mostly they trade minor leaguers. They haven't signed that many free agents. But when you do sign one of these big poppers, you're stuck if his contract is bad. And look at Stanton. Okay, I happen to be both a Giant and a Yankee fan.
Oh, boy.
Stanton is awful. I know he had a good weekend, but believe me, if you watch every game, he's brutal. His contract is brutal. If the Giants make a mistake like that, we're stuck. So we have to develop guys. Who's our last really good hitter we developed, that we drafted?
Buster Posey?
Right. Posey, Belt.
Yeah.
Panda.
Yeah.
They're not. Panda. Panda. And they're not Posey is legitimately great. Panda was really good. Belt was nice. He was nice.
Belt.
He'd be better now in this draw and walk era. Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? Because of our ballpark, we draft a lot of pitching, and I just think it's kind of a vicious cycle, don't you?
Andy, I have a bigger question.
Thanks, Andy.
I know. No, don't hang up yet, Andy.
No. Don't go.
You're a Giants and a Yankees fan. Who were you rooting for this weekend?
Good question.
I really, my wife hates the Yankees and loves the Giants.
Okay.
I was really rooting for the Giants to win Sunday. I was actually in Tahoe for a wedding, and it was messing me up with the games. I kind of was hoping one of them would go 2 out of 3. I didn't want to see a sweep. But yesterday, I thought with Dotel coming in, we were going to win that game in the 9th. And, oh, man. Again, I watch all the games of both teams. The Yankees never had a weekend like that. Soto would just, oh, my God. He broke my heart in the 9th. My wife got mad, threw something at me because she thought I wanted that. So I was kind of rooting for, you can't have a split in 3 games, but I really wanted the Giants to win yesterday. I really wanted them to win.
Andy, appreciate it so much, but you can tell that Andy does have some Yankee blood in him for 2 reasons. A, you can hear the accent.
Yeah.
And B, he just called Dotel. That's when you know you get that.
Octavio Doval.
And that was his tell. His Dotel was that he called Dotel.
Do tell.
And he did.
Yeah.
And the Yankees won them all. He's also not wrong. Like, we're walking in today with a view of the Yankees that's not really accurate. The Yankees are amazing. I think they might be the best team in baseball. They're certainly among the best teams in baseball. The view that we got of them, you'd think that they never made an out. They came in here and looked like the Harlem Globetrotters of baseball over the weekend.
And we were the Washington Generals?
Completely. Think of the way you've been texting all weekend long. What do the Washington Generals do?
They lose.
They tee the Globetrotters up. Here's a strike, Judgy Poo.
Yep.
Yeah. That's what it felt like.
Oop, I got picked by Curly Neal, and here comes Meadowlark Lemon with another bucket on us. It's kind of how it felt. You got outscored 20-10, and even when in typical Washington General fashion, it looked like you finally were going to beat the Trotters.
My gosh.
And here come the Trotters late in that fourth quarter on a 14-0 run.
And they pulled our shorts down. They pulled our shorts down at the free throw line.
And they threw a bucket of water on us in the first row.
Yep.
And it wasn't confetti.
I mean, I'm actually just asking that question. I'm not sort of rendering this the opinion yet. Like, do you need your team to hit home runs to be entertained?
I don't know.
It's interesting because if you look at the history of the Giants, 2021 being the last time they were good.
Yeah.
You don't look at them and go, oh, they had a great home run hitting team. But they were. Like, they didn't have any boppers. Nobody hit 30. But they were, across the board, a really good home run hitting team. But go back to the championship teams. Those were like, they were fine. They weren't great. They were not great at scoring runs. They were solid.
Yeah.
They were good. We called them torture because they often had to win the game 2-1. And there would be runners at second and third with one out. And then Brian Wilson would strike a couple people out. And you would win. That's how it went. So I don't know. Has this changed? Has something happened in the last 15 years where we're just like, it's not watchable if you don't at least have the threat of a lot of long balls?
I think part of it has changed among fans. I do think that, fans now, younger people, and I'm not going to impugn Grandy and Lucas because I think that they're kind of old souls when it comes to sports, but there is that sense of, you're going to a baseball game and I need to be entertained. And that's partly why we have the pitch clock now, because the game was too long, too slow, and too boring. Well, now it's not too long anymore, and it's really not too slow, and it's only too boring if you're not into the nuance or maybe you're supporting a team that doesn't hit a lot of home runs, because the home run is exciting. Even if your team gives up the home run, if you're watching a baseball game, that's an exciting moment. Pitch, swing, barrel, wow, home run. Okay, it sucks that it wasn't our team, but you can't tell me that the Juan Soto homer wasn't an exciting moment.
Oh, it's
even if you're there and you're a Giants fan.
Totally memorable moment.
Wow.
I see. Now I would use a different word.
That exciting? It was exciting.
There's what, dude. It felt like a knife to the heart.
It did. But if you were at the game,
I wouldn't call that exciting. I see what you're saying.
Well, your pulse went up if you were there.
Yeah, because you literally wanted to go to the hospital.
Right.
It felt like a heart attack.
It did. But if you're just watching that, and like you're saying, if you're a Giants fan and you were there, you're bummed because your team lost, but you're always going to remember that moment.
Sure, the wow moment was there.
Yeah. And you don't have a lot of that from the Giants. And that to me is kind of what you're talking about. I don't think that it's boring. For me, watching a guy go first to third on a base hit to right field and the right fielder comes up and he's throwing and the runner's rounding second and it's going to be a close play at third, that's exciting. But I like baseball.
Right, as do I. But I also tend to think, I think there's just more than one way to eat a Reese's. I really do. No, I do.
I'm trying not to let that bother me.
Oh, sorry.
I'm going to work through it.
I don't have one. I'm not going to pull one out during the next read or anything. But I just think that fans will identify with all different kinds of teams if they win.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we did before. You'll start to identify with a team and really love them if they win. And that's whether they hit a lot of home runs or not. You know what I mean? You've watched a lot of cities do that. They start to identify with all kinds of different personalities and teams if that team starts to have success. So it's one of the things that, I know Farhan has said this a lot of times, and he's right. With the idea that when he's asked about entertaining baseball, he always answers it that way. What's entertaining is winning. So I'm like, that's the right answer. The problem is you have not shown the ability to do that on a consistent basis. I don't think they need to be overwhelming with the home runs, but I do think that in some ways this question is being asked in two different ways. It's like, no, you don't have to hit home runs all the time to be entertaining. You just have to win. However, you probably have to hit a lot of home runs to win. So then, transitive property, you do need to hit a lot of home runs to be entertaining, because I don't know in 2024 if you can win a lot of games if you don't hit more home runs. I will say this. This is important for me to get this out, because our text line right now, there's a representative opinion that I know a lot of you have. And it is an opinion that is based solely on watching this weekend. You've suddenly decided, well, everyone else comes in here and hits home runs. No, they don't. No. Aaron Judge and Juan Soto did. That's all. We had the numbers last week.
Yeah.
The number of home runs in that ballpark going into the weekend was 22 for the road team and 18 for the Giants. Yes, that's more for the road team, but not that many more. And it's literally moving at a pace because how many home games total had there been? Like 30-something?
Roughly, yeah.
Okay, and only 40 home runs. So you're getting maybe one homer a night from one of the teams on most nights when you go to a game at Oracle Park. I think the Yankees come in because all of the home runs came from the middle of their order and because Aaron, the almost Giant, hit 3 of them. Now we've decided, oh, no, it's the Giants lineup that doesn't hit home runs there. No, it is accurately, mathematically, it is the hardest place to hit a home run in all of baseball. The metrics show that. At least this year they do. So if that's the case, I don't know. We're probably headed for some sort of a conversation at some point, don't you think? I don't think that this is going to go the other way and baseball is suddenly going to turn around and people are going to start trying to manufacture runs again in 2032.
No, because most teams don't have this problem from an offensive standpoint and a ballpark standpoint. And I do think that it's as much a problem of the roster as it is the ballpark, and it doesn't mean you can't win this way. And I was just looking back as you were mentioning the championship teams, and you go back to 2012, and I just punched up the numbers. They hit 103 home runs for the season, the Giants did. 103, and they won the World Series in 2012.
Are you for real right now?
I'm looking at it.
Are you sure?
I'm looking at it right here.
103 total?
Dead last in Major League Baseball in home runs. They were 94 and 68. They hit 103 home runs. Gerald had 24 of them. GP, are you with me? Gerald Posey.
Yep.
Pablo hit 12. The Milkman hit 11. End of double-digit home run guys.
Really?
It blew me away when I just looked at that number.
Crazy.
103 home runs. The Yankees had 103 home runs this weekend. It felt like.
It really did.
And that 2012 Giants team is like by far the best of the championship ones.
Right. They were 94 and 68. And, pitching and defense. And I know that you can't get by hitting 103 home runs. If you try that now, you're the Chicago White Sox and you lose 110 games. But I do think that a representation of that style of ball can still work in this ballpark.
Do you know that all 5 starters on that team had double-digit wins?
I would imagine so. They probably all had sub 3.5 ERAs as well.
Actually, you'd be surprised. If you remember, that was the year that Tim Lincecum started to go south.
Ooh.
And his ERA was over 5.
Okay.
He still won 10 games. But Barry Zito kind of put together a year. He was 15 and 8. Vogie was 14 and 9.
Vogie.
Madison Bumgarner was 16 and 11. And the Kaner was 16 and 5 with a 2.79.
Man.
And that bullpen, right? Casilla, Affeldt, Romo, Lopez. I mean, they just all had their roles.
Yeah.
And they absolutely crushed it.
Only 7th in the league in ERA, but last in homers, 7th in ERA. It was enough to win 94 games, and eventually, like Tom Verducci was telling us last hour when we had him on, it's the beauty of baseball is you get in the postseason and you never know.
Yep.
Last year it was a 5 seed against a 6 seed in the World Series.
What happened that year?
Crazy, right?
Brandon Belt only had 7 homers. Melky Cabrera, as you said, with 11, and then he leaves for the playoffs. They didn't even have him. I mean, my God. That's wild.
Yeah.
That's 103 home runs. That means you'd go to a 3-game series and you're lucky if you hit 2.
Exactly.
Home and road.
Colorado, Arizona, all the rest of it.
And I feel like we were entertained.
Right.
I feel like we were entertained.
94 wins. It's very entertaining. So maybe fans are different now in 12 years, but I do think that you can still be an exciting team without having to hit a lot of home runs if you win.
No, to me, yeah. Winning makes people identify with whatever you're doing. They will start to, like, if you have quirks. That's what we did in 2010 with torture. If you have quirks, they just become that. They're quirks. They're fun quirks. We'll give them a nickname, and we'll be like, yeah, we're the crazy torture team. And you'll be into it because they're winning. They're winning. But if you're not winning, it doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter what it is you're going to put out there. So, listen, they're not going to lift the ballpark up and build a new one. So you can go ahead and remove that from the conversation anyway. But by the same token, a weekend like this is a very, very healthy reminder that the same thing we talked about for the last 2 years, which is we want that giant. We want that person who we really identify with. And I think we thought for a minute maybe that person has arrived. That person's not here yet, or that person is on the injured list.
Right.
Honestly, when they brought that up earlier about who was the face of the team, it was on its way to potentially being Jung-Hoo Lee.
Yeah, I agree.
And I know that, oh my gosh, it was only a handful of games. It wasn't like he was that great. If you haven't been to the yard yet this year, and if you hadn't been to the yard in the first 20 games or so, walk through the souvenir area. 3/4 of the jerseys were his. And there's a few reasons for that. He's young. He's going to be here for a while. The crowd loves him. He's got a personality, and he was a good baseball player.
Right.
That's all anyone's asking for. And how many homers was he going to hit in a year? 9?
12, yeah.
Yeah, no big deal. So I think there's a number of ways to do this. But they just have to play better. Like in the end, I sit here and I look at this, and you get embarrassed because the Yankees come in and do what they do. I still end up with the same fundamental question. We can yell about there's no big bopper on the team or whatnot, but I have the same fundamental question about the Giants. Why do they not pitch better? I don't get it. Injuries be damned. I don't understand. That staff is too accomplished for stuff like this to be happening as consistently as it is. Doval included. I don't understand. I don't understand why they're pitching the way they are.
Well, from a rotation standpoint, you've got two guys who are living up to billing, and then you've got the injured spot, the other injured spot, and a young pitcher who I think is kind of finding his way. Kyle Harrison's been solid, and I think that he projects out to being better, but Hicks and Webb have been fantastic, and the bullpen, for me, has been a mishmash of who do you trust, who can you trust, and the answer has largely been nobody. And Camilo Doval, that was really the one that hurt the most over the weekend. Yeah, the Yankees going in, you would figure the Yankees are going to probably take 2 out of 3. They're the best team in baseball, and it's a little bit of a tough spot. But to have Doval be the one to give it up yesterday, and to give it up in that fashion where he was just getting lit up. You know, you had obviously a very good lineup, but when you allow the 8th and 9th hitter to get aboard to start off your 9th inning, that's where you knew there was trouble.
Remember when you said that 2012 team had a team ERA 3.68 and it was 7th in the league? This year, team ERA 4.45.
Man.
4.45.
That doesn't make sense.
You know what, really, and to further it not making sense, if you do look like go individual by individual and it looks on paper like you have what you need. Logan Webb's ERA sub-3.
Yeah.
Jordan Hicks ERA sub-3. Kyle Harrison, just over 4, but he's a pup and he's learning.
Yep.
And I have no issues with Kyle Harrison at all. The Blake Snell thing's been a disaster, and the revolving door of whoever's 5th has been a disaster. And Camilo Doval's ERA at 4.24 is not good.
Not good.
That is not good for a closer. But you go through the other roles, like so many of you are mad at the Rogers twins, both of them are sub-3 ERAs.
Yep.
Ryan Walker, sub-3 ERA. Sean Jelly and Randy Rodriguez has shown up, sub-3 ERA. They have the people to do it. And for whatever reason, They just don't, and they haven't. And it leads to a team RA that's 4.5, which is just not good.
Yeah.
Not good. The amount of resources put into that pitching staff, I don't get it.
Right, and you can look at, the Blake Snell, Keaton Winn combo, where they've started 15 games and their ERA 6.17 and 9.51 respectively. So that's 2/5 of your rotation that has been a little bit scary, and you've had some rough outings at the bottom of the bullpen. And Kaiwei Tang and his 4 outings, that's been rough. And Landon Roop has had a hard time when he's pitched, and so there have been some rough spots as well. But you're right, Mark. On paper, it looks like the rotation should be better and the relief also should be better. But here we are, a third of the way through the year or more, and you are bottom 6 in baseball in ERA.